Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Crank her up there, Ryan. All of our guests today on this Monday, including Shane Malloy, standing by, sponsored by Sasson Motors, BC's most trusted car dealership located in the heart of Surrey. With great financing rates, guaranteed approvals, and open 7 days a week. Learn more at Sasson Motors, BASANT Motors.com. All sorts of things happening with the Canucks prospect-wise. We look ahead to the draft, college free agent signing, so we thought we'd bring in, from Hockey Prospects Radio, the author of The Art of Scouting, Shane Malloy. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, gentlemen. How are you? Things are heating up in the Canucks land, talking about some more kids that they could sign out of the college ranks, which I always think is a viable option to just increase the talent that you have in your prospect pool and in your farm system. And I think it's something that more teams need to jump on, not just in the NCAA, but in youth sports in Canada too, because what's the difference between a fifth-round pick that goes to the U.S. route versus Canada? Nothing. They're exactly the same player, So from that standpoint, I'm intrigued to see, who goes where. And I think the Canucks have, there's some options for them out there. And I think the Canucks are a very attractive landing spot for these free agents.
Why would that be, Shane?
Opportunity. You look at their farm system, and there's not a lot there, particularly on defense. So if you're looking at a couple players like Akito Hiroshi or Jake Livingstone, who played together, at University of Minnesota Mankato, if I was the Canucks, I'd have the Twins along with Mike Komisarek on a plane already to Minneapolis, take the hour and 20-minute drive down to Mankato, and make sure you do a presentation to those two players. Because if you can't do it over Zoom, you can't do it over a phone call. Like, you have to entice those players to come to this organization.
What can you tell us about new Canucks? Speaking of undrafted college free agents, now no longer a free agent. They sign him to an entry-level contract, Max Sasson.
What I like about Sasson, he's been very well coached, particularly in the USHL. He was with Waterloo for his last year before he turned college, and he was under the guidance of Shane Fukushima, who's now a member of the Philadelphia Flyers organization as a scout, but was very strong in terms of player development. I see Max as a second-line American League player, for probably the prime years, a call-up NHL forward. Now, the challenge for the NHL, any NHL organization is being able to move that player up one rung. Can he be a guy that's more of a call-up player? Can he be a 13th forward in that respect? But he's a very good skater, quick and agile. I thought he had above-average hockey sense, plays with pace. I think he's a bit of a dual threat in terms of playmaking and shooting ability. And he's got a little bit of aggression and grit in his game, which I think is important. So I'm curious to see what the player development department and the coaching staff does with him. And I like the fact that obviously he's an older player. When, you come into the AHL and you're 23, you're not a 20-year-old kid coming out of the junior. So he's a more mature kid, and, he'll be able to adjust to the American League faster than the CHL kids.
Hey, Shane, I believe the Canucks are the front runners to land Akito Hiroshi. Could happen today. Tell us a little bit about him. We don't know too much. He did play in the BC Hockey League with Salmon Arm. But tell us, I believe he's the number one target for the Canucks. What do you like about him?
Deceptive skater, elusive, very hard to target from that respect. Can quarterback a power play at the American Hockey League level. Has the ability to lead a rush, which I like. Quick decisions in transition as well, particularly puck retrieval, very quick. I project him as more of an offensive defenseman at the American Hockey League level, second pairing, maybe first pairing. He's 23, so he's a mature player, and it's really about what the player development department and the coaching staff can do to help elevate him and see if he can be more of a call-up defenseman. But I think he's certainly going to be, if they sign him, that's a really good addition to their farm team from that respect. And he'll just have to learn, to be able to defend against bigger forwards in the American Hockey League and really just take a page out of Jared Spurgeon's book. He's a smaller defenseman who defends exceptionally well because he understands leverage, gets on the forward's hands, He knows active stick, very good gaps really well towards the neutral zone. So if Hiroshi can really take a playbook out of Jared Spurgeon's game, I think that will certainly help his cause.
I don't believe Livingstone's going to end up in Vancouver. I believe it's going to be Hiroshi, Akito, and also Malinsky. They were 2 right shot D, and I don't think either one's going to end up in Vancouver. Tell us about Livingstone, BC boy. What do you like about him?
I like the fact that both Hiroshi and Livingstone, they played together as a defense pairing.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, I think Livingstone is one of the prototypical new age defensemen in terms of an insulating defenseman, a guy who has enough range and mobility to play with an offensive defenseman from that respect. And I think that's really important. And he's got great size, obviously at 6'3", 205 right-handed shot. And he can take away time and space, particularly below the dots. And he has enough hockey sense and intelligence to be able to understand what he needs to do with an offensive defenseman and be able to take care of his own end. But he makes a smart first pass. So he finds that option as quickly as he possibly can and understands the best thing he can do is move the puck to somebody who can really, really utilize that puck more effectively. If I was the Canucks, I would be banging on both their doors. Why not have those 2 players in your farm system and who have that chemistry and you can put together and grow together? To me, it makes too much sense from that standpoint. And you don't have enough guys like that in your farm system either. They really don't have that big, rangy, insulating defenseman that, can work with an offensive defenseman.
Shane, let me play devil's advocate here. What makes undrafted college free agents, hearkening back to what you said earlier, so attractive when they're in their early 20s and they've been passed over for a significant amount of time?
Well, acquisition cost doesn't cost you anything more than a contract and a contract spot from that standpoint. So you're not giving up any other assets. And the other fact that they're more mature. And one of the things that, of course, we only have 7 picks in the draft. So these type of players, unfortunately, are going to be left off draft boards, even though they really shouldn't. And there's not the scouting staffs are robust, but not that robust. And, you only have so many spots and you only have so much time. So those types of players are really attractive because they're already mature players. At this point at 23, they're men. They're not 20-year-old kids coming out of junior. And I can't emphasize how important that is because the American Hockey League, it's a meat grinder. You guys get a chance to watch games in Abbotsford. It's not for the meek, that league. So you have to be prepared mentally and emotionally, even more so than physically, to handle that grind.
Switching gears now, Shane, Aidan McDonough makes his NHL debut for the Canucks yesterday in Chicago. You saw him play recently, I think I've got this right, at Northeastern. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I did. Actually, it's one of the greatest places to see a game. So if you get a chance to see a game in Matthews Arena, it's a really old school building and you're right on top of the ice. I mean, the press box where we sit is about 7 rows up from ice level. So it's fantastic. I actually view McDonough in some similar ways to Adam Gaudette in terms of his skating. He's obviously a bigger body and has an excellent shot and played in an up-tempo style. It's just, I think for him, he has to figure out not necessarily just to be a faster skater, but how to skate the game for his skating style. And we've seen those type of players come through Vancouver. Look at Tyler Toffoli, not the most fleet of foot, but exceptionally smart in terms of understanding how to skate the game. Mark Stone's not a fast skater, skates the game exceptionally well. Brendan Gallagher, another one who's not the fastest player, but understands how to use his speed effectively because you're not most likely not going to be the first on the puck all the time, but how can you get layered inside of that game where you can find a way to be effective and take away options defensively, but then get in on pucks and use that. So I'm curious to see how he handles the American Hockey League, but both him and Adam Gaudette have some similar styles in terms of their skating ability. And not everybody is going to be a great skater. So it's just about improving what he can do as a skater. You'll never rebuild him into a different skater. Let's just try to make him a more effective skater.
All right, Shane, I'm sure you're aware of this, but the Canucks not listening to certain members of the Vancouver media, they keep winning. So they've slipped to the number 10 position in the draft lottery as we speak. If indeed that is the case and they draft at number 10, is this draft deep enough that they can get someone special in that spot?
They'll get somebody good at 10. Don't worry. Now, don't drop below 11 because only the top 11 have a chance to get into the top 3.
There you go.
So don't do that. I mean, you like winning, and that's good, but don't push yourself out of those top 3.
All right, Shane, I'm supposed to mention that, and you're well educated, but I'm supposed to mention here that you're a PhD candidate at the University of New Brunswick. Have I got that right?
That is correct. Yeah, I decided to throw myself back into academics again, so that's why I moved out east. I have probably 2.5 more years to finish up, and the project dissertation I'm working on is actually on NHL hockey operations. So I may have bit off more than I can chew, but so if you see me at the draft in the corner crying, sucking my thumb, you know how well it's been going for me.
Shane, that's impressive, but I'll have you know that I have a diploma from the Columbia School of Broadcasting.
Yeah.
So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I went into broadcasting and I had no idea what I was doing my first day. My show's been on air for 18 years. The first day I went in to record it at the old CKNW towers, I actually had to get one of the techs to show me how to run the board and run all the software. I honestly had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah. Shane, I've been at it for 30, 40 years. I still don't know what I'm doing.
Yep.
You're way ahead of me.
Figure it out as we go along, gentlemen.
Yep.
Thanks for this, Shane. We'll try to get you on before the draft, during the draft, after the draft. Thanks so much for this.
Anytime, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Appreciate it.